I think a lot of Orioles fans were thinking there could have been other players that were deserving of the All-Star game. I guess right off the bat for you, surprising across the board that only Corbin Burns was selected after Gunnar and Adley are starting the game.
It was a little surprising. The Orioles seem to be doing so well in the voting, right? You had Mounties leading Vladdy, even Ryan O'Hearn is a finalist, and then none of them win except the two, we figured we're going to win. And then you don't even get Craig Kimbrel in. And so Major League Baseball put out a press release last night, which is where I got my information, the number of players from each team. And I started looking, 7 Phillies, 6 Dodgers, 5 Guardians, 3 Orioles. What's wrong with this picture? They're one of the best teams in baseball. They've beaten a lot of the best teams in baseball. They beat the Phillies head to head, and they have 7. The Orioles have 3. So one fan said, why are you complaining? The good teams have a lot of players. I said, first of all, I'm not complaining whatsoever. I'm pointing out facts. And the facts are one of the best teams in baseball has 3 and 4 or 5 teams have more. So that seems like an oversight. And then the MLB release noted Major League Baseball had 6 American League picks. And usually this is where they make sure every team has one. That's how Isaac Paredes got in through Major League Baseball. They picked Clay Holmes. The Yankees already had guys in the game. They didn't need to pick a Yankee. And if they were going to, his stats are blown away by Kimbrel. I'm looking at this going, what? You're Major League Baseball. You do this for a living. Who over there looked at Kimbrel's stats and Clay Holmes and said, Clay Holmes is more deserving? I don't get it.
Well, who looked it over was Major League Baseball. That is for sure. And you know what? And I know, Rocco, you have a question more specifically with Craig, and then I'll follow it up. But Rock, this is what you and I talked about last night. One of the topics involving the Orioles.
Well, first of all, Ryan, before we went on air, you texted me and you said, I can't wait for the pop when Craig Kimbrel's an all-star, because we were both under the impression that Craig Kimbrel would be an all-star. I think everyone in Birdland with the season he's having, despite that little bump in the road early on in the season, Craig Kimbrel, sorry, I always have trouble saying his name, Steve. Thank you for joining us, by the way, has always turned it around. So, Steve, when you saw that initially, it's funny because I saw Jim Palmer's tweet. He goes, let us get something straight. I have no animosity towards Clay Holmes. I think he is a premier closer. I think we would all agree that he is, despite the animosity towards the Yankees for this fan base. But Kimbrel just deserves it more this year. I'm sure you would agree. I'm sure a lot of your colleagues would agree, and this fan base would agree as well. So why do you think that decision did end up happening? Like what gives?
I can't explain it. I'm just trying to see what they saw there, because if it was a player from a team that didn't have a player, you could say, well, okay, Team X needed to have a player, and their reliever was their best guy, and he wasn't as good as Kimbrel, but they had to have one guy. But it was a Yankee; they had players on the team already, so I don't get it at all. I'm just so impressed with Craig Kimbrel. I mean, it was a bump in the road, man. It was a major pothole. I mean, he lost a closer's job. He's pitching the 7th inning. He gave up like 7 runs in 3 innings. If you could take his statistics and take out that 7 or 8 day stretch, they might look like Zach Britton from a couple years ago. The guy's been amazing before and after. And it was 7 or 8 days. And he had the back tightness then. So there was a physical issue that I think definitely, and he said it too to me, contributed to that slip up. But he's got it locked in, and Oriole fans have been worried about him from the day they signed him. And I think for the most part, he has answered every question.